There's no possible way we could virtually gamble using this. No. We need this. Oh, Japan. Here we go. Let's make a tasty Japanese dish of arcade recreation. Start with a pinball machine, multiply the balls, shrink them down, and keep the bumpers. Whisk it up vertically. Toss in a little Price is Right Plinko, a dash of slot machine reels, a cup of gambling, but not gambling, and what do you get?
Probably birthday cake.
No, pachinko.
Well, I still want cake.
The word pachinko comes from pachin, which is an onomatopoeia that represents the sound of metallic clicking and clattering from the machines. And the ending ko means little or small, the tiny metal balls. To say that pachinko is culturally relevant in Japan would be putting it lightly. Many sources state that 1 in every 10 people in Japan play pachinko at least once a week. It's easy to think of the parallels in the United States with slot machines, but it is nothing compared to Japanese pachinko parlors. They are everywhere. Even on the Famicom. And note, I said pachinko parlors, not casinos. There are technically no casinos in Japan, as gambling is illegal, outside of some exceptions for sports betting. Though very recently, Japan has allowed casinos as part of integrated resorts, so change on the horizon? Now, how do we play pachinko? Originally, pachinko machines were strictly mechanical, having evolved from a vintage table game called Corinthian Bagatelle, which is very similar to what became pinball. Now, first step, you rent small steel balls from the parlor, which they usually toss into a small tub. The player then loads the balls into the machine to get started. Classic pachinko machines have a lever that is used to launch the tiny steel balls into the play area with varying degrees of force. Many newer machines have a handle that you twist to dial in the rate of fire. Now be patient, we've almost made it to this thing. The knob sends the pachinko balls automatically, and you have to adjust the rotation of the dial based on the ball trajectories, easing forward and back on the dial as they bounce through metal pins, giving you hope that more balls will be won and the slots will spin in your favor. The goal is to try to get balls to land in small gates or pockets, rewarding you with more balls.
球がいっぱいです。
The most important spot is the start chucker, which is usually the main center pocket. Get a ball in there and you'll initiate the slots to trigger jackpots, which give you even more balls. How many times have I said balls so far? Too many? Let me know. It's gotta be getting close to double digits by now. So let's say you're ready to cash out your steel spheres. They can be exchanged for a number of prizes available in the pachinko parlor. Things like plushies, toys, sake, chocolate, candies, even soaps and shampoos. But this is gambling / not gambling. What if you want to trade your balls in for hot cash? Well, you can't do it in the parlor. That's illegal. So you can trade your balls for an exchange ticket or sometimes a special chip, and inside that chip is gold or silver. Leave the parlor and make your way around back to a TUC, Tokyo Union Circulation Shop, where you can swap them for real money. Since the building is not connected to the parlor, it's not actually gambling, hence all the air quotes earlier. The industry generates hundreds of billions of dollars, not yen, dollars each year. But no, it's not gambling. You just get little prizes, no different than Dave and Buster's ticket redemption, right? Right?
No, it's pretty different, actually.
It's definitely a legal gray area.
Yeah, okay.
Whew, well, now that we know all about pachinko and its prevalence in Japan, let's talk about playing pachinko on the Famicom. with this thing. This is the Coconuts Japan Famicom Pachinko controller, with controller spelled wrong on the box. Released in 1991, this very specialized controller was intended to fill the not-so-niche of pachinko video games, many of which were created by Coconuts Japan. The first of which introduced their mascot, Pachio-kun, in 1987, who was an anthropomorphic pachinko ball. There were 5 Pachio-kun games on the Famicom, plus a bonus game that takes place in America and focuses on slot machines. Since the pachinko controller wasn't released until 1991, only Pachio-kun 4 and 5 work with this controller. Other Famicom pachinko games may also work, but let's get this thing hooked up. The controller attaches to the 15-pin port on the front of the original Famicom, or on the side of the AV Famicom if you prefer, which I do because it's better. And that's it, you are ready to pachinko! The controller has all the necessary family computer controls, a decent enough D-pad, start, select, A and B buttons. And then we notice the giant growth on top. This is our pachinko controller knob, which you just sort of grab from the front and twist and grope to your heart's desire. The analog control gives you precise management of your pachinko ball launching in the games. It will automatically begin launching the balls as you turn the handle clockwise. It's spring-loaded, so if you let go, it will quickly snap back into the starting position. You can play these games with a normal controller, where the D-pad is used to set the rate of fire, and you press A to launch the balls. Not as engaging, but unfortunately for pachinko games, they already aren't very engaging. Looking closer at Pachio-kun 4, you explore a world of pachinko parlors ruled over by King Pachinko, I assume. Your goal is to beat a number of machines in each parlor by collecting all the balls in the machine. Then once putting them out of business, you move on to the next parlor. In this game, you'll have to defeat more than 80 machines. Yeah. In Pachio-kun 5, the final game in the series released for the Famicom, you have a world map laid out, and you can return to Pachio-kun's home to rest each day. Your goal here is to clear 10 machines each day to reach the end of the game. It is a difficult thing to replicate the pachinko experience on a video game console, without some other gameplay aspects outside of it. Pachio-kun gives the illusion of some mascot-based game coming at your TV, but sadly, it's just an anthropomorphic pachinko ball that walks his little spherical butt into pachinko parlors. You walk in, you sit down, you start playing pachinko. There aren't even little mini-games or platforming sections thrown in to mix up the gameplay. If you don't love pachinko and only pachinko, you aren't going to make it far with these games. The pachinko board layouts aren't even much different from station to station. Seems like a huge missed opportunity to create unique boards that couldn't exist in the real world, hence video games. So our focus here is not an in-depth look at the Pachio-kun series, because there isn't any depth to sink into. You'll hit the shallow grave pretty quickly. Imagine an NES game where you only play slot machines, not other casino games, just slot machines, trying to make a bunch of money, then going to other slot machines, and that's it. Welcome to Pachinko on the Famicom. But the Pachinko controller can also be a normal controller, just with a little extra thick. I was surprised at how well the controller does in other games, specifically platformers, considering the A and B buttons are physically longer than the ones found on the stock Famicom controller. I thought the extra travel might cause some issues, but it's a solid third-party controller, just really big and ugly, and has a big chunk that you can only use in pachinko games. It doesn't look great. Nope. It really doesn't. Aw, dang. Maybe, there is a little bit of strategy in pachinko video games, but you'll be arthritically cramped up from holding the boob of a specialized controller in the proper clockwise position for the perfect ball-launching pachinko experience. Even then, the amount of randomness that exists in the world of pachinko gaming is enough to keep me away. Unique controller? Sure, but pachinko is best left to the real world in Japan.